This story comes to us from KOAT.com. Out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, the police department there in Albuquerque are facing some aftermath over a letter to Walgreens. Now, earlier in August of this year, Police Chief Harold Medina sent a letter to the retail chain requesting it to have its own armed security and change its store layouts. The city of Albuquerque made a plea to the retail chain Walgreens, requesting its own armed security and readjusting store layouts. Target 7 looked into the request to see if it was a reasonable financial request for the retail chain. Now, Walgreens was sent a letter by Albuquerque Police Department Chief Harold Medina, which also requested the department have access to their store surveillance cameras. The letter was written and sent following the death of 23-year-old Sydney Wilson, who was shot and killed in a parking lot after she saw her stolen vehicle and approached it. Aaron Jones, with the security company International Protective Service, it's an armed security company, said Albuquerque Police Department should be doing more to protect businesses in Albuquerque. Aaron Jones said there's a lot of problems with this whole deal in general. Walgreens is taxpayers, for one, just like everybody else in the city of Albuquerque are taxpayers, and taxes are supposed to pay for protection. Now, it's kind of true. You pay taxes for the police department to protect your city, to be patrolling, to look and see what's going on. Of course you do. You pay taxes for that. But to actually run security on businesses, I don't know. It's a lot of times police protection is basically just a response. A crime is committed, they respond, and they protect you at that point. They're not always proactive; they're more reactive. And it's true. I mean, sometimes even in our city here, I've seen deputies, police cars parked behind a church or behind a building of some sort or down a hidden alleyway. And they're doing their reports. Maybe they're doing their reports or paperwork, or maybe they're just BSing. But the thing is, I feel they should be parked out there on the street doing that. And not for long either. Sometimes they sit there for an hour. Just sitting there doing, I don't know. Well, we have to do reports too, dude. It's part of our job. As somebody's house is getting broke into. Now, had you been driving by there, you might have saw that and been proactive, you see. Or there's drunk drivers that crash into people. Hey, we've got an accident, 2-vehicle incident. Oh my God, let me get down there. Had you been on the street and seen that car swerving by, you would have been able to pull them over. But that's really, I think, the key of this story here is that they're saying, what are our cops doing or not doing to protect these businesses? Now, Jones also said Walgreens contacted him after receiving the letter, to get security, but there were complications when pricing was discussed. So he wanted to charge him, you know what I mean? So maybe they couldn't afford this security. So now what do you do? And Jones says it's not a cheap proposition at all, especially if you're hiring me. I can guarantee you that we put millions of dollars into providing this type of service, and we do it for 4 different companies all over the country very effectively. So he's like, it's not cheap if you're hiring me. I come, you know what I mean? I'm the best there is, or whatever. I don't know. I'm just putting words in his mouth. But I don't know, maybe he was overcharging him. I don't know. Maybe he was charging him the right price and they just couldn't afford it. For Medina, he said the police department should not be directly involved with Walgreens stores for security. I've said that. He said, I'm here to say it's not the responsibility of the Albuquerque PD and the taxpayers of the city of Albuquerque to put an officer at every single Walgreens that sells alcohol. Yeah, because then you're going to get every Rite Aid, every Food for Less, everywhere there's alcohol now. In the aftermath of Wilson's death, the city of Albuquerque announced it would be suing Hyundai and Kia, citing 20% of the city's car thefts. Jones said blaming the businesses for crime is not a police department's job. So they're going to sue Hyundai and Kia because people are stealing that car. I don't know how they're involved, but it's all about the money. Jones said when you want to blame the stores and you want to blame Hyundai for, the crime going on, I'm sorry, I was a cop. We went out and we dealt with crime and whatever. And I'm sorry for the things that are going on the way they are, but it seems a little ridiculous to be blaming these businesses. And again, the city is blaming Walgreens, saying you need to get you some security. Okay, and change your out. This ain't going to keep happening at your store in our city. Kind of what they're saying. Now, in a press conference, Medina said 5 Walgreens stores accumulated roughly $125,000 in taxpayer money for service calls over a 6-month period. Target 7 looked into these police response calls at the store near Central Avenue and Eubank Boulevard. There were 13 calls made for fights and assaults, 2 shootings, and 2 thefts, along with dozens of disturbances. Carla Sontag with the New Mexico Business Coalition said many of its members have been forced to hire security at a hefty price. Forced to hire security at a hefty price. Or the city will say, you know what? We're going to move you out. Get out. We're going to bring another store here. Kind of what they're saying. Sontag said, welcome to America, by the way, some of our businesses are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars every year in order to try to protect their properties. The Business Coalition has started a legal fund. They want to sue Albuquerque for not enforcing lower level crimes such as shoplifting and trespassing. In turn, this causes businesses to foot the bill to hire security services. So are they not? Cops probably don't respond to shoplifting? Oh, that's a level 4 call. I'll get there eventually. Sontag said it's not right. We shouldn't live in fear of our lives. We shouldn't have to question if we're able to go into a store and safely purchase goods. And that's true. But again, we're talking about Albuquerque. It's a fairly large city. And I'm sure the cops have, think of Los Angeles. Think if this was the issue going on in Los Angeles. My God, the cops are just all night. Never stop. Just all night. Handling calls. Sometimes it's like that here and sometimes it's not. And when it's not, I've noticed that the cops go hide behind a church or go down an alleyway, hide behind a building. And I don't agree with that. I mean, fine, if you're going to do your reports and sit and do your paperwork, that's okay. Do it on the street where people can see your police car. Don't go hide behind a church where I can do my reports without having to freaking pull people over. So in other words, you don't want to do your job, you just want to do your reports. I get that you have to do reports. I get that you have to do all that. But you signed up for the job. Protect and serve, not just serve when needed.